So Lifeline's reworked abilities are currently known, thanks to Crowrindo, who shared information from an inside source of the abilities that the devs are cooking up for Lifeline Revived, the reworked version of Lifeline that is apparently coming in Season 23, but I'd personally put a good bet on it coming in Season 22, as that would fit the normal routine of us getting a new legend every other season. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at gameplay of each one of Lifeline's new abilities so far, thanks to modded Apex allowing us to see what these abilities look like in action before they're even released. So starting off with Lifeline's brand new passive ability, which as Crowrindo said would allow Lifeline to glide while in the air using her dock drone for a few seconds. So it seems the devs want to give Lifeline movement, and here you can see what this could look like. We've actually seen Lifeline using her dock drone to sort of glide in previous Apex Legends trailers, so it does actually fit the lore. So just imagine you jump off a building. Lifeline would be able to hold down the jump button and carry her momentum into a small glide for a very short period of time. Apparently it was about 3 seconds, and depending on how much momentum you can carry with this, it could be pretty darn cool. In the right hands, I can see this movement being really good when fighting on buildings. You could jump off a building and swoop into another floor, whereas the enemy would have a much harder time doing that. Also, in Season 22, we're getting the brand new district map, which does seem to have quite a lot of vertical space and elevation. So Lifeline's gliding ability will probably come in handy on the new map. What do you think of this passive though? The recreation that I made in modded Apex is a lot of fun to play with, and it's really satisfying. So depending on how the devs decide to tweak the momentum and the physics of this glide will definitely be a big factor in how good this ends up being. But Lifeline with movement, I'm actually okay with this. And speaking of movement, her tactical ability will apparently just be a buffed version of her current dock drone. One that will actually follow you at the same time as healing you. So I mean, we've seen this a bunch of times. Audio-Technica actually made a concept of this years ago where you can see Lifeline's dock drone following you, and there's something about Doc just following you that makes it so much cuter. But other than having a companion for the ride, this is obviously a huge buff to her current tactical, because it means you don't have to sit stationary while healing, where the enemies could just throw a bunch of grenades at you and predict your movement. Instead, you can literally run away and have healing on the go. I don't think there's much more I really need to say about this. Everyone's thought of this idea, and it's great to see the devs are finally implementing this. Now, another person did actually share that apparently you'd be able to move the drone like you can move Newcastle's shield, but I don't know how trustworthy this source is. I'm pretty sure they got a bunch of stuff wrong in the past, so I'm not super interested in that idea at the moment, but just know there is a possibility that you may also be able to move the tactical drone just like you can with Newcastle's shield. Anyway, let's get on to the ultimate, a very unique ultimate that I don't think many of us would have suspected as a new ultimate for Lifeline, but she'll no longer have the care package. Instead, she gets the Shockbot 3000, which we now have some really awesome gameplay of, which I want to give a shout out to Ketchup for sharing this modded ability with me. Go and check out his channel if you want to keep up to date with Apex news and other cool Apex videos. But the Shockbot 3000 is a deployable drone that will push away enemies nearby and then create a barrier that enemies can't enter, but you can still shoot through them. So a little bit like Conduit's ultimate or Gibraltar's dome, but one that enemies physically cannot move through. But instead, they can shoot through it, and they are able to shoot the drone to destroy it, just like you can with Horizon's ultimate. But as you can see in this gameplay, it looks pretty cool. I actually like this idea of a force field that Lifeline can create to keep enemies back, and will probably be the most useful if you place it in a building or around cover, so that you can still revive or heal your teammates behind the cover and know that the enemies aren't able to push you, and then when it's time to peek, you can still shoot at the enemies through the barrier. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, and of course we don't know the exact sizes of this ultimate, so we don't know how big or small this may be, and obviously all of this is potentially subject to change, but these current abilities are from a very reputable source. We even have images of the dev build of the game where you can see these abilities being described. Now, I just wanted to finish it up on the brand new support perk that also seems to be coming to the game. Again, obviously this is subject to change, but at the current time, the devs are working on a brand new support perk, which will mean all support characters would be able to throw healing items as grenades to heal players. So if they do end up implementing this, supports will have the most perks, so I really don't know if this will actually come to the game. It seems like they're really making support legends powerful if they do add this to the 2 perks that supports already have. But the way this is worded does seem like you would literally be able to throw a healing item that's in your inventory just like a grenade, and it will create a splash effect that will heal any teammates or any players, including enemies, within its radius. Now, I definitely would imagine imagine that the healing would be slow over time rather than instantly healing, because then it would be way too OP and you could just throw the healing items instead of popping them yourself and instantly get the healing. So we'll have to see with that one. It seems like a pretty weird mechanic that I don't think really should be in Apex. Definitely not as a support perk. Maybe a cool ability for a future support legend where they can throw a healing grenade, but I think this is a pretty weird perk and I kind of hope it doesn't come to the game. But let me know your thoughts and let me know what you think of Lifeline revived after seeing her abilities in action. And if you're a Lifeline main in the comments, let me know if you're happy with these changes.